Running our own business isn't easy, and it can be a tough gig for all of us at times, and only other business owners truly understand the challenges that we face. And on Scale Up Radio, we aim to help make things just that little bit easier by interviewing guests who have been where you are now, regardless of where you are on the scale up journey, and maybe facing some of the challenges that you are facing. And they offer their thoughts and advice on what has worked well for them, as well as what didn't, of course. And we've also combined many of these lessons into a practical scale-up handbook called the Entrepreneurial Scale-Up System. And there's details of this at the end of the episode. So welcome to Scale Up Radio.
Hello, Harry Fell. Welcome to Scale Up Radio. Please introduce yourself and your business to our audience.
Hi, my name's Harry Fell, and I am the co-owner of Tudor Farmhouse Hotel, which is a boutique hotel in the Forest of Dean. My husband and I have now been there for 20 years, and I've recently started a new business, No Low Cocktails and Bars, which is all based around non-alcoholic cocktails and drinks.
Wow. As all great entrepreneurs, we're never happy with one business. We're always moving on to the next in terms of doing that. We're excellent. We'll definitely explore that. So let's start off with the Tudor Farmhouse Hotel, 20 years you and your business. So give us an understanding of that, who your clients are, where you are, what you do, etc.
Yeah, so we're based in Clearwell in the Forest of Dean. We've got 20 bedrooms and suites and a 40-cover restaurant. We've held 2 AA rosettes in the restaurant for the past 18 years. And our main clientele is couples, often empty nesters, who are looking to get away for walking or cycling or canoeing and are quite active in their pursuits and make the most of the beautiful scenery of the Forest of Dean.
So how do you reach them? What's your sort of marketing? How do they know to come knocking on your door?
So marketing wise, we're listed with the Good Hotel Guide and also with Days. We're also listed with iEscape and the AA. So we're rated by the AA and listed in their guides as well. We do quite a lot of online marketing with Google AdWords and Facebook ads, and we employ a PR agency and have been mentioned in quite a lot of the press, so listings in the Times or things like top 20 places to go walking. And we also are listed on booking.com as well.
So, I'm an active empty nester. I love those phrases. Yes.
Yeah.
It's actually quite true, actually. I'm an empty. So I'm going to look for a place. I'm looking for something. What do you strive at being different? Why would I want to come to the Tudor Farmhouse Hotel?
So we're very well rated on TripAdvisor. We have an average of 4.5 stars, and we are, I believe, the best reviewed hotel in the Forest of Dean. So people love coming to us for our warm and friendly service. Our staff are amazing. We have very, very good food. And our chef team is excellent at producing the food consistently. And also our boutique rooms. So everything's of a really, really high standard. The other thing that I think really differentiates us is our range of experiences that we offer. So we work with people locally to provide things like foraging, wildlife safaris, stargazing, and we really enjoy collaborating with people on experiences that guests can enjoy whilst they're with us in the Forest of Dean, and that are quite unique often to our area as well.
Wow, that sounds really good. It's not just come and stay, come and enjoy the warmth and great food. It's actually come and actually be active. So you've got that connection with local people to set those up. Wow, that's brilliant. How did that come about in terms of the thinking and structure?
Well, we started doing foraging actually probably about 18, 19 years ago. And that was originally, we did it with somebody that lived very locally, who my parents actually met in the pub in the next village. So Raoul was quite infamous around Newland, and and the Forest of Dean in general. He was a real character. And he did at one point actually start doing some shifts for us on reception. So he was actually working for us on a part-time basis. And he was a really, really big forager. So he started taking guests out for us. And then unfortunately, a few years ago, he passed away. And so now we work with different people to do the foraging. But it was Raoul that started us on kind of offering the experiences, first of all, with the foraging. And then that made us look at kind of what other things that we could offer guests to do and other people that we could work with locally. And so that led then to us working with Ed Druitt, who takes people out. Now he does some of the foraging for us, but originally he was doing wildlife safaris. So if you're interested in going out and finding out more about the wildlife in the Forest of Dean, sort of going, hopefully spotting some boar, some deer, but he just knows, he's a fountain of information and knows everything about the birds. So he can tell you what birds you can hear. And so, yeah, our guests love going out with Ed.
Wow. That just sounds fabulous. Yeah, really, I could really want to come and do that, especially having a nice place to stay and then going on foraging and going on wildlife safaris in the Forest of Dean. A very lovely part of the country. So tell me about the marketplace in terms of, your clients, who you're up against, what's the trends, what's changing in your industry at the moment?
So hospitality's had a few challenging years. COVID was interesting. So we found with COVID, I think we were very lucky that we were either completely closed or we were full. So it was one or the other. We traded very well through COVID. I think city centre places didn't, but if you were out in the country and therefore social distancing was easier, then you did quite well. So obviously we've gone through the COVID years with the lockdowns, which were challenging. We were lucky we kept all of our staff. We just furloughed them. And I think that really helps then to come out of that quite strong. And so I think we were very fortunate from that point of view. Recently, hospitality has obviously been hit by cost of living crisis, people spending less money, also the increase in fuel, which has, for some places, affected them very, very badly. We were quite lucky that we'd signed a new electricity contract before the massive increases happened as a result of the war in Ukraine. So, but even then, ours went up 50%. But some places I know of signed contracts at 82p a pound a unit. And that's crippling then for quite a lot of businesses. UK hospitality now are trying to get Ofgem to allow them to renegotiate because a lot of them had no choice. They had to sign the contract or they had no electric. And then now, obviously, the unit price has gone down and, you're signing at probably about 26, 27p a unit, which is quite drastically different. So that's been really challenging for a lot of hospitality businesses. Equally, getting staff now is a lot harder than it was pre-Brexit. And for the first time, we've actually taken on a non-UK national to work in our kitchen. So previously, we had always employed British people, mainly local. We do have living accommodation, but we'd actually not found a need for that so much. But now we've actually gone down the sponsorship route. It's very, very hard to get more junior chefs. So you're normally okay. If you're looking for a head chef, you can find them. But if you're looking for a chef de partie or a commis chef, they're very hard to come by. We're not, unfortunately, in the UK producing enough chefs for the demand out there. And so businesses are having to look at different ways to recruit. So, there's a lot of closures within hospitality. There's a lot of businesses, unfortunately, finding that it's not worth their while continuing, particularly the independents, but even some of the groups are closing restaurants and pubs. and consolidating their portfolio. So it's definitely a challenging time within the industry. Again, I think we're really lucky. We've got some very loyal guests. We try to never, well, in fact, we never, it's not that we try, we never cut the quality of our product based on outside factors. So we always try and provide the best quality product that we can. And yeah, we've been really lucky, I think, that, you know, we're still really busy.
Yeah, but I always go back to my favourite saying from Steve Davis, the snooker player. You know, people say I'm lucky, but the funny thing is, the more I practice, the luckier I get. You know, I think you must have created your luck. Yeah, in terms of doing that. You know, the way that you service your clients, you do more for your clients, you achieve more for them. Yeah, you've got those repeated people that are coming back. You're probably getting referrals from that, and that's a function and output of what you have done and created, not necessarily that it's luck, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, well, I think that's definitely true. I mean, I think we get luckier the longer we do it. So
you get more experiments, more opportunities at trialing and finding the best ways. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, and honing in and making really focused target type clients. You know, you even described it as, you know, the type of client that you look for in terms of doing that. You know, that you've refined that, improved that over time. That allows luck to take place. It's not luck, it's, you know, your experience of knowledge and really focusing on a key few people rather than everybody in terms of doing that. Not that you ever say no to everybody else, but, you know, that really does help in lots of businesses that we help to grow and scale. That real focus attention, which you demonstrated in the beginning part of the conversation in terms of who your target clients are. So yeah, lots going on. We'll talk about the journey of the creation of all that and get into your current luck, shall we say? Before we do that, you talked about a second business. Take us through that. What's that about?
Yeah, so just over a year ago, I decided that I wanted to try something different. I've been at the hotel for quite some time and wanted to take a step back from the day-to-day operations. And I gave up drinking alcohol 4.5 years ago. So decided that I would try to set up a business based on non-alcoholic cocktails, doing subscription and gift boxes. And I've also got a horse box bar that I take to events and festivals. So I've been doing that now for just under a year, very much as part-time. But we've recently taken on a manager at the hotel. So I'm hoping to spend a bit more time doing that and seeing if I can grow that and make that into a sustainable second business.
Wow, exciting times.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And you can take that knowledge and skill from the hotel industry and put it into a different industry. In terms of doing it. Wow. Well, let's have a look then at the journey in terms of, you know, let's talk about how you've created that luck that you talk about. So 20 years ago, you and your husband started, you know, take us through what was that? Why did you do it? What's gone right over the next 20 years? What didn't go well in terms of doing that? What's the key learnings you've had?
Well, actually, 20 years ago, I came to the hotel with my parents. They purchased the hotel and I came down to help them run it. My husband came into it a couple of years later when my parents decided that they wanted to retire and we bought them out. We came to the hotel because my mum in particular had always wanted to run a bed and breakfast, but really hadn't had the opportunity until my dad took early retirement. They moved a bit with his job, so it wasn't possible. So it was kind of a realization of her ambition to run a B&B, and I'd also looked to do it in my early 20s. So I was 28 when we came to the hotel, and it was still a really, really nice place, but the quality wasn't there. And everything had been done kind of on a budget. We still had a reputation for being the fine dining restaurant in the Forest of Dean, but there were banks of freezers and frozen chicken Kievs. So it wasn't really our idea of fine dining. So as luck would have it, we didn't realize at the time when we bought the hotel that we didn't have a head chef. So we weren't aware that the head chef had left. So the first thing we had to do was employ a head chef. And I had a total of 2 applicants and decided to employ one of them. And that was a brilliant decision because it actually turned out to be the start of our journey to being a proper fine dining restaurant. And he really turned things around. We got rid of the freezers. We put in loads more fridges. We actually became a proper fine dining restaurant. There were definitely a lot of hiccups in the first few months of us being at the hotel. I ended up in tears on Valentine's Day because we had tried to do too many covers, and it was a complete learning curve for both me and the new head chef. But yeah, so I mean, it's gone from strength to strength from there. He was still the right person for the job at the time. And we've been lucky with the head chefs we've employed, we've employed probably about 5 head chefs over the 20 years. And each time I would say they bring something new and the quality improves really on what we're doing. So we're always looking with everything that we do, whether it's the food, the experiences, the rooms, to always improve on what we do. So there's that continual investment, but also that continual thought of how can we make this better? What can we do differently to improve the service that we offer?
That's music to my ears. That really is such an important aspect of any business, of that courage to start making improvements, but realization it's as you make improvements over time, you become more successful because, clients will appreciate it and understand that, and having that improvement mindset, both, said investment, but also just how do you do it better is absolutely brilliant. And very, very, yes, very, very powerful way of really thinking how to develop over time. So give us something. What sort of things have you improved over the last 20 years then?
So, I mean, we've completely improved our bedroom stock. All of our bathrooms and bedrooms have been refurbished. Certainly people are looking for a lot more, particularly I would say in terms of bathrooms these days than they did 20 years ago. 20 years ago, the electric shower was fine. Now everybody wants monsoon showers and roll top baths. So our bathrooms have changed beyond recognition. We had a lot of old plastic jacuzzi baths when we took over. They have all gone. we don't like the jacuzzi bath. So yeah, that's completely changed. Our food offering, as I say, has changed and improved as well throughout that time. And I think also the service we provide with our staff, our staff are exceptionally good and they all have a real can-do attitude. So we always try to never say no to a guest. If we can do it, we will do it. And we try and preempt their requests.
Mm. So staff, you mentioned a few times how, your amazing staff and how the service is really important. So let's talk a bit about staff, because that's an important aspect of any growing business and successful business. So you've talked about recruitment has gone harder in terms of for the junior chef role, but how have you gone about recruitment over the years? What's worked for you? What hasn't worked for you in terms of recruitment?
It varies depending on the role. So head chefs, recruitment agencies are always the best way to get a really good head chef. I'd say particularly now, just looking back at the last sort of 3 head chefs that we've employed, we've used recruitment agents. If it's for more junior roles within the kitchen, certainly kitchen porters, or for our housekeeping team, then actually just posting on Indeed and the local jobs boards on Facebook works quite well for those roles. So it really does depend on the role itself. I think we're now lucky that we've got staff accommodation, which we didn't have 20 years ago, which then means that actually there's a bigger pool of people that we can look at to employ because we've got the accommodation, which, the bigger pool that you can look at, the higher quality candidates you're likely to get.
And Do you think something like staff accommodation, but is that a real sort? Was that a game changer for you, or is there other things you've learned to find the right people?
I'm not sure that I've learnt much about finding the right people. I think I've just gone with my gut. And I think maybe just trusting my gut more as the years have gone on and not second guessing things, and also being quite happy to wait for the right candidate. I think that's really important. The one time that we employed a head chef quite quickly, it went wrong, and we had to let him go within a few months. Whereas actually, and we learned from that experience that it was better to have a temp chef doing a reasonable job. And yes, it was costing more money, but in the long run, it was much better to wait for the right candidates. Yeah. So we do now try and wait for the right candidates. It's that hire slowly, fire fast type, mentality that a lot of people subscribe to. And I think it's certainly true. If someone's not going to work out, fairly quickly. They might be unreliable and not turning up for shifts. That's never going to get any better. So, you need to move on quite quickly from people sometimes as well.
And so you hire people, you bring them into the business. How do you engage them in get into them to that point? Because you talked about this attitude of delighting the customer, never saying no to a request. By going, having the right attitude. So how do you then bring them on board and make them successful for you?
Well, I think the most important thing is leading by example. So all senior staff really have that mentality and live and breathe it, really. So I think that's the single most important thing, is that they're surrounded by people that want to do that and that do that on a regular basis. I think that's the single most important thing with regards to instilling that mentality in all of the team. And then really, we kind of think of ourselves as, we're like a little family. We all work quite hard sometimes. Weekends can be very busy. Our Christmas and New Year time is always very busy. The hours are unsociable. We've all got to like each other and like the job. And I think that's really important. And I think the other thing that I think we're very good at is everyone's paid fairly. We're living wage employers, and any overtime is paid, so that everyone feels valued. And also nobody is asked to work really long hours. So the majority of our staff work between, our chefs do work longer. They work probably about 50 hours a week, but most other members of staff would work about 40. And so that means then if a member of staff is sick, other people are quite happy to pick up their shifts and, work as a team to make sure that everything's covered. And we do have then people that we can call on when we are short-staffed as well. So, it's trying to make sure that everybody's got that work-life balance, and that we try and ensure that everyone gets the time off that they want and that they need. And we're firm believers that we will get more out of people if they are well rested. They will do a better job if they're not knackered. So people do better when they're rested. So how big's the team now? So now we've got probably about 30 members of staff, some full and some part-time. So we go age range. We've got 16-year-olds. We don't employ under 16s due to the child labour laws. It's not worth it. So we employ from 16, and our eldest member of staff has just turned 70. So we've got a broad range.
Fabulous. So how do you ensure then the right things get done?
What do you mean the right things?
So you've got 30 members of your staff. You've all got different roles and responsibilities. But how do you ensure that the things that need to be done in the business to make it successful across the hotel, across the restaurant, across the kitchen. How do you and your husband ensure that the right things are getting done?
So we've got really good heads of department who all have standard operating procedures. So whilst we want everyone to bring their personality to the role, there are also, there are ways that we check a guest in and what we say on check-in and what we show them. And, all of that is in place. We also have regular meetings. So we sit down with the heads of department very regularly. And we also then communicate to everybody over a messaging app. So we use Plan Day for all of our scheduling, our rotas, and also messaging. So we can keep everyone as informed as they need to be.
Yeah. And procedures are absolutely vital for any business, especially as you grow. Bringing people together in regular meetings, allowing that to take place. So I assume then the heads of department have regular meetings with their teams.
Yeah,
in terms of coordination. Yeah,
but I mean, to be honest, our heads of department work with their teams almost every day.
Right.
So they do have regular meetings as well. But our head housekeeper's working with her team 5 days a week, so she is going to see everybody.
Yeah. So you've made some decisions over time in terms of what you've invested in, what you've developed, in terms of doing that. How have you gone about deciding what the key things each year are to focus on to take the hotel forwards in terms of the success you've achieved?
So probably the biggest decision that we made was to change. We had a house that we lived in at the hotel, and we changed that probably about 10, 11 years ago into more accommodation. And actually that was as a result of working with a mentor who basically said, "You're being really silly. Why on earth do you not change that into accommodation? Surely you can rent a house for cheaper than you would be getting from letting those rooms." And so we did that, and we realized that he was completely right. And sometimes that when you're in your business working in it all the time and not on it, that you don't see these things. But he was completely right. And actually doing that completely changed our approach. And we realized that the high quality accommodation actually was selling really well. So we changed our house into a suite and 2 really good quality double bedrooms. And it was the first major investment that we'd made. And that prompted us then to go on and make more big investments in turning some of our smaller rooms into suites and actually offering more high-end accommodation. So that was the start of it. And really that was from working with a mentor.
Right.
I'd like to say it was all us, but that would just be a lie.
Yeah, sometimes it takes somebody to spark external ideas that then grow and develop in your heads in terms of doing things. Yeah, brilliant. So cash is king in any business. Yeah, how do you keep an eye on cash?
Well, we do regular goal setting, financial goal setting. We are looking at our sales versus costs on a weekly basis. We then sit down with all our heads of department once a month to go through all of the KPIs in their departments. The easiest way, to be honest, and keeping an eye on how much cash you've got is, as long as you're paying your bills regularly, is just to have a look at the bank account and see how much cash is in there. It's that's the easiest way. As long as you think you've got enough money in there to keep going, you're okay. So we do try and pay all of our suppliers very promptly, which I think actually has become more important post-COVID than it was before for those suppliers, because it was a really tough time as well for our suppliers. And some had to go to cash on delivery, which, they wanted to make sure that we were all viable. So we just try to have really good, close financial control over all of our spending, and then obviously drive the top line as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, without a top line, you can't have a bottom line. Absolutely. So yeah, just a few sort of questions now in terms of, what drives you sort of, crazy about the industry in terms of hospitality? Yeah, in terms of that, if you have a magic wand, what would you change in the industry?
Oh, what would I change? Well, I would change the VAT rate that we get charged without a shadow of a doubt, particularly, I think, on food. So most of our input costs for the restaurant are at 0%. All the food we buy is at 0%, and then we have to charge it out at 20% VAT on top of all of the costs. And I think that a lot of guests don't realise that. They don't, when you go to a restaurant and you see that you're paying however much for a steak, 20% of that is going straight to the government. So I would change that. I would definitely think that we need to lower our VAT, particularly on restaurants. Less so, I think, on the accommodation, because a lot of our input costs include VAT, so that's slightly different. But I would change the VAT rate without a shadow of a doubt. I also think that the government need to look at changing visas for people coming to work in the industry. It traditionally was an industry where we had a lot of Europeans, and obviously since Brexit that has changed and it's been quite difficult. So there are staff shortages across the industry, so I definitely think that needs to be changed. So I'm afraid everything I would change about it is down to the government. So, I think as an industry, there's a lot of very passionate people in hospitality.
Yeah.
They work really unsociable hours. We don't work 9 to 5 Monday to Friday. We work weekends, we work evenings, and everyone's really passionate about what they do and they really love it. And it's great to have advocates who are quite big now, celebrities sort of within the industry, people like Tom Kerridge, who really sort of stand up for small independent businesses. And I think that really helps.
And what do you love most about your business? If you could go back and start again, you would start with that straight away in terms of doing that.
Oh. Well, I think when we took the business over, it was doing a lot of the stuff anyway. We took over an established business. So the things that I would change faster is I would have invested faster, I think, in changing the rooms and upgrading those, and had more confidence in doing that. That's the thing that I would have done earlier, definitely.
And you said more confidence in doing that. What do you mean in terms of confidence?
Well, we were new to hospitality, and I think it's really easy. I think it's really easy, actually, even if you've been doing it for years, to second guess yourself and wonder if you're making the right decisions. And I think that's something that happens with all entrepreneurs across all industries all the time, that we don't trust our guts enough. And actually, that would be something that I would change for me personally earlier on, is I would have trusted my gut instinct on things, whether that's, hiring a member of staff or choosing a supplier or taking the leap and actually making investment.
Yeah.
And doing things faster. So I would have done things faster and with more confidence.
Thank you. That was really, really insightful. Thank you for drilling down in terms of that. So let's talk a bit about your new venture. I understand in terms of what it is. Where's your marketplace at the moment? What are you experimenting with?
So I'm online. I'm selling subscription and gift boxes, and I'm taking those to different Christmas markets as well in the run up to Christmas this year. And then I've also got a horse box bar, and we've done a couple of festivals and also food and drink shows around the local area. So that's really been me experimenting this year with kind of what works and what doesn't work. And what I'm now looking to do moving forward is to find brand partners for the horse box bar. And I really want to champion small producers who are UK based. So I'll be looking to reach out to people who, like me, maybe a solopreneur, or just working with a couple of other people, sort of small brands, and seeing how we can collaborate and work together for the benefit of all of our businesses, really. So I'm looking for more brand partnerships going forward.
Brands like what?
Like Anon Drinks. So they're quite a reasonably small producer. Actually had a chat with them earlier today. So that I think is a real possibility for us working together more closely. Within the drinks industry, there's all the big players now moving into the non-alcoholic space, which is great. But there's lots of innovation on the independent side as well.
Yeah.
And I think that we all need to work together.
And what would be your plan in the next year then, in terms of growth and opportunity then for it?
In terms of the bars, working with the brand partners to attend sort of all of the major local food festivals within the South West and South Wales, and then also to try to break into some of the music festivals as well. I did one this year, just hoping to do some more local ones next year, and provide that choice for people that choose not to drink, because most of the alcohol bars that you see at festivals don't have any sort of choice. You can have a Diet Coke. You know, they're very much thinking about the drinker, which is great. And I used to drink, and it never used to bother me that there wasn't a non-alcoholic choice, but more of us are choosing not to drink now for whatever reason. And having those options available, I think, is really important.
Yeah. Wow, fantastic. So let's just, if we cast ourselves forwards in 5 years' time, we'll meet up for a coffee and see how things are going. If we're looking back over the last 5 years, what's happened both personally and professionally for you to say they've been a really successful 5 years?
I think personally, I would like to be travelling more. In 5 years' time, both my children will probably have left home and be at uni or working. So I would like to travel more. I know my husband would as well. So yeah, definitely more traveling, more time not working, or possibly working from a laptop overseas whilst traveling. That also appeals quite a lot. And in terms of the business, I think the hotel just continuing to be really successful. That is kind of where we would want it to be, where it is now. So it's just a continuation of that. And for Nolo, to be at a point where, we are doing bars at all the major festivals, and I've got staff running that. So I'm not necessarily the one making the drinks on the bar anymore. So I think that there's definitely quite a lot of growth potential with Nolo, and possibly less so with the hotel unless we decide to buy another one. So, yeah.
Brilliant. Oh, Fel, thank you so much for this great conversation. So starting, buying a business with parents, helping them 20 years ago, taking over the ownership of it, the way that you've focused on, you're not just lucky, it's the processes and systems you've put in place, the investment that you've done, where you're focusing on those key clients that really want that, fine food, they want adventure, they want to do something a bit more than just stay in a hotel in terms of doing that, but they value that real attention of detail that you've put into the rooms and the hotel experience, finding those staff, realizing that how the staff will actually help to enrich that and take that process forwards. Attention of detail, procedures, yeah, absolutely, really important in everything you've done. Finding the right type of chef, making sure that the chef is the right one rather than just the emergency one that you need in terms of doing things, and that hiring slowly comment definitely in terms of doing that. That real richness that you bring in terms of the local focus and bringing locality, the local area into the hotel and helping that, doing that. And that real thing that come across that you've demonstrated yourself, but you've talked about it in terms of all of your senior staff, which is about leading by example. And that's a really important thing for businesses to really understand how you achieve wonderful outcomes with your people, because if you're not doing it, why would they be doing it in terms of doing things? So it's been a fantastic conversation. I really look forward to the next 5 years and running a hotel from a laptop somewhere nice around the world, and and then moving on to your new business of no alcohol cocktails, and being able to take those round festivals, etc. It's been a fantastic conversation. Thank you. If I may, we finish off with a quick fire round. So let's have a go at these. If you go back to the younger self, what advice would you give yourself?
Trust your gut and make decisions quicker.
Brilliant. Which books do you recommend?
I really like Gay Hendricks' The Big Leap. I'm re-listening to that at the moment. I see that you've got Brené Brown. Anything by Brené Brown is brilliant. She's amazing. Yeah. And yeah, those would be my top picks, I think.
Brilliant. I've not read The Big Leap, so that one's on my book list now, definitely. Podcasts. Do you listen to any podcasts? Any you recommend?
I dip in and out of podcasts. I would say I listen more to audiobooks than podcasts, and I tend to pick out episodes rather than listen to whole podcasts. So if there's somebody that I really want to listen to, then I will listen to that.
Brilliant, thank you. On your mobile phone, any apps that make a difference for you?
Business-wise?
Yeah, or personally?
Yeah, there were apps-wise, probably Planday. We use Planday quite a lot for our scheduling, and for now enabling staff to clock in and out. So yeah, Planday. I can see who's at work, who's late.
Brilliant. My favourite question of all, who's had the most influence on you as a business leader?
I would say that the person that both my husband and I have probably looked up to the most, and think does a fantastic job within the hospitality sector, is Robin Hudson, who set up Hotel Divan and the chain called The Pig.
Brilliant. Your most successful marketing tactic to date?
Email newsletters. Don't do them enough, but need to do them more. Always get something out of every email newsletter we send. So, yeah. Brilliant.
And finally, how can people get hold of you?
So they can contact us at tudorfarmhousehotel.co.uk or nolococktails.co.uk. And my email address for both is Harry, Hari, at the website address.
Brilliant. Harry Fell, thank you so much for this great conversation. It's been inspiring today. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
I hope you enjoyed that discussion, and if you're building and scaling your own business, you might well be interested in our book, The Entrepreneurial Scale-Up System. And it's exactly what it says on the tin. It's a practical handbook around scaling a business in a structured way, and you can order a copy on all your favorite online retailers, including an audio version, or you can find it and other supporting resources on our website, www.esusgroup.co.uk. That's esusgroup.co.uk, which is esusgroup.co.uk.
This has been a Monkey Pants Productions podcast.